From the NewsChannel 5 network and Out and About Nashville, this is Out and About Today, sponsored by the Tennessee Performing Arts Center.
Hello and welcome to Out and About Today. I'm Brent Meredith. Thank you for joining us for our very first show of 2021. And I think we're all looking forward to a fresh start this year and are glad to see 2020 in the rear view. And it's with that in mind that Chuck and I have invited some guests to help us reflect and project tonight. So let's jump into this week's Buzz About. And joining us first is our longtime friend, Dr. Marissa Richmond. Thanks for zooming in, Chuck and Marissa. How are you guys doing? Good to see you virtually.
Good to be here.
Great, fantastic. Thanks for joining us. So Pam is absent tonight. She's had a family emergency that she's going to be taking care of, but she's left us a couple of questions that she wanted us to throw into this sort of post-COVID 2021 buzz about. What have you guys been doing to relieve your pandemic stress? She mentioned some things she had been doing with some classes, some online learning. What have you guys been doing?
Well, I'm still working. Thankfully, I have a job. So a lot of people have lost their jobs. I'm able to do my job remotely. I have to do it by Zoom. I'm getting a little tired of Zoom, I have to admit. But at least I'm able to keep working, and I have at least some interaction with people this way. And so I'm not totally bored. Of course, one advantage to working from home is in between classes. My bed's just a few feet away, so I can get a quick cat nap. I'm not able to do that in my normal office.
That has been one of the benefits, right? Doing your laundry, taking naps, and you got to look for the silver lining where you can find it. Chuck, have you been doing anything?
I got some brownies in the refrigerator too. You know.
That's the real thing, the COVID-15, right? Chuck, was there anything you've done to sort of relieve the stress? I know you have also been able to work from home remotely, but is there anything sort of fun you've added to the mix new this year?
Well, I have, and I'll tell you, but it was funny. But to one of Marissa's points, one of the funniest things that I found throughout this year is that we all discovered Zoom. Is when we first got on Zoom, it's like, oh, good, Zoom. And so suddenly, for me, and I know a lot of other people, friends were calling saying, let's do a Zoom happy hour, Wednesday and Thursday. And, about 2 months into it, I'm like, okay, I am so tired of Zoom. I mean, because it's like you're Zooming all day for meetings, and it's kind of like the last thing you want to do is, wait till like 7 o'clock and wait for, 10, 12 people to sign on, and some people are late.
Gosh, you're really making me feel a little self-conscious here for having you guys join us via Zoom.
No, this is business. Yeah. So I'm just saying. Yeah,
I totally get it.
I have been doing though. For my is I've learned meditation this year. I've always known that meditation is a good thing, but I really started listening to people that were talking about it and how it helps, and just centering, and breathing and all those things. So for me, meditation has just been a great thing that I've learned this year.
That is a good one to do, to be able to sit back, reflect, and just have some quiet time to yourself. I think that's a good one. And I know that we have finally gotten out of the 2021 or 2020, and I don't want to necessarily look back, but I do want to bring up the fact that, we're recording this show a little bit before the inauguration into the new year. So we'd be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit about how sort of the election affected you during this whole pandemic and sort of what's come out on the other side. Marissa, I'll look to you sort of what there were some historic LGBTQ firsts, which are positive. Would you care to talk about those?
Yeah, well, for starters, this summer I was supposed to be at the Democratic Convention. I was a delegate, as you know. We had to meet virtually, but we had our biggest collection of LGBTQ delegates and our largest collection of transgender delegates ever, and we were really thrilled with that. We've seen some historic firsts. A lot of people elected from all categories. We've had our first African-American gay members of Congress. Of course, we've elected our first LGBTQ person to our state legislature here in Tennessee. We've seen a number of victories in the trans community, led by Sarah McBride of Delaware, the president-elect's home state, our first transgender state senator. And we're seeing more school board members and city council members all across the country. And it's good that Tennessee, in fact, I should give credit, acknowledge State Representative Manis from Knoxville. So we actually have two people, one Democrat, one Republican, although I'm a Democrat, so I was particularly supportive of Tori Harris. But we've had some historic wins all around the country, and as we're seeing the president-elect filling out his cabinet, we've seen a few appointees to the White House staff, and we're looking forward to some more appointees as they continue to fill out this administration in the weeks and months to come.
Yeah, and I heard a little rumor. Of course, we're taping this early that Pete may be getting a post with China, which could be interesting to have sort of an out person as an ambassador to such a large country. But I've heard people call it a rainbow wave. Did you see that, Chuck? I mean, did you see sort of that sort of? Did it give you a little bit of a pause, a moment of breath to see that we've lived through these last 4 years, maybe going into this new administration, even locally, there's a little bit of a light at the end. Did you get that too?
Oh, absolutely. And, one of the things that was just such a glaring headline was that, Tennessee, one of the 5 remaining states that had never elected, an openly LGBTQ person to the state legislature, that was so embarrassing before, but now we're at least off that list, which is a great thing. And, and to me too, having, Harris and Manis, there as our state representatives, it's not I don't think we're suddenly going to, see this state turn blue, but their voices, I think, are going to be so important. And when people think that they can just do all of this anti-LGBTQ, legislation and things like that and conversation, they're going to be 2 people that get in there and they say, hey, wait. And I think people at least are going to have their ears open to that.
Agreed. That seat at the table is so important. You can't dismiss the demographic at all because they're there with you. That's terribly helpful. What are we looking forward to this year? I mean, I know we could, spin a yarn about how awful last year was, and we all know it, but what are we sort of looking forward to this year? I don't want to put too much expectation on 2021 is what I'm saying, but what are we looking forward to?
Me first?
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Marissa. I'm sorry, yeah.
Well, again, with the Biden-Harris administration coming in, a reversal of the tone of the anti-LGBTQ policies under the outgoing administration. I'm not going to dignify it by saying his name, but we're optimistic. We made some real progress under the Obama-Biden administration. So we're going to have to sort of get back to where we were in January 2017 and then continue forward. And as, of course, Chuck was just saying, the tone in our state legislature, we hope will change, although we've already seen one anti-trans bill introduced already in December or maybe late November. But we're hoping that having them there will change the tone. But a lot of it's going to happen coming out of Washington.
Fair enough. And I think we've got a break, so we've got more to share and another voice to add to the discussion after this short break. So please stay with us.